Hello, my name is Judith, and I welcome you to Cordial Couture, where I cordially share with you my different sewing projects. And before I start with my next project, I would really like to thank all those that liked my videos, that subscribed and made comments. I really appreciate it. So, as you know, I bought the Lutterloh kit in the fall, and what I'm doing right now on this channel is really sharing my Lutterloh journey with you, showing you the different makes so that it can help you out. And if you're considering purchasing the product, or if you've just purchased it, maybe it'll help you also appreciate the product. I'm also new to YouTube, so I do apologize if in my last videos I have like technical problems with the sound or all that kind of stuff. I'll try to improve as I go along. One thing for sure is I won't wear any more necklaces when I'm filming because it hits my microphone. So I'm now putting the microphone on my measuring tape. You'll see my measuring tape as I go along. And I'll try to improve on my YouTube skills as well. So in today's project, my first project is the first time I'm making pants with the Lutterloh system. So I'm choosing pattern 267, the one here with the different drawings, motifs on the fabric. The reason why I chose this pair of pants is I want to do it as a test pair of pants, so I don't have any pockets, I don't have a front fly, I just have the basic pants with a zipper. That'll be my test garment. What I'm going to use as fabric is this fabric here that I purchased this summer in a flea market in Boston. I have 3 yards of it. And I initially thought of making a dress out of it, but I looked at it and I think it's more fabric for making drapes or something like that. So I'll use it for a test pair of pants here. And it'll either be a nice pair of summer pants or they'll look like pajamas. We'll see at the end of this video what the end result is. So that's that. I am rather tall. I'm 5'9½", 175 centimeters. But in making my measurements, I don't have to make any adjustments to the pants, which is a great thing. The pants pattern themselves, I do, as you've seen in my previous videos, have to lengthen my shirt. So I have a long torso, but for the pants, I seem to fit in a standard pair of pants. So I'm going to change the camera angle and we're going to analyze the pattern. I'll be right back. So here is our pattern 267 Z or Z, depending on where you live. Indicates a pair of pants, and this is the approximate quantity of fabric that you need to make the pair of pants. It depends on how tall you are. If we zoom in a bit here, what we see on the pair of pants is that it's pretty well a straight leg, and then here, I don't know if you can see well, but you've got darts in the front here, and then you have a waistband. There's no indication of where the zipper is, so let's turn the pattern over and look at what we have. So pattern 267 here for the pair of pants. The first piece on top is the waistband. And oops, here we go to the whole waistband. Here we have 11 centimeters in terms of the height. And then we have 83 centimeters in terms of the length. Now remember that CA means approximately. So this depends on the pattern or what your waist circumference is. So this is the last piece I'm going to cut out, and I will cut it out with the finished garment when I measure my circumference of the waist for the pants. I'll cut this out according to that. On the waistband here, you see that this is the straight of grain, and then we have to put here interfacing on half of it. So we're going to fold it over when we construct it, and half of it will have interfacing. This is a zipper drawing that you see here as well. So what they're telling us is that the zipper is going to finish in the waistband. It's not going to finish here. It's going to finish in the waistband. So that's the first piece. Now let's just zoom out to see the rest of the pattern. We have A, which means front, B, which means back, Z or Z, depending on where you are, means pants. So if we look at the front leg here, we see here that we have VM, which means middle, front, middle. V for front, M for middle. This is your crotch. You're going to go down straight leg here. This is a straight of grain. On the top here, you have a dart. So on each side, on the front, you're going to have a dart. And we see the zipper is here. So the zipper is not in the back, in the middle back. It's actually on your hip on the side. And the total length of your zipper that you're going to need is, once you've finished drawing out your pattern, you're going to go from your dot here to here, measure that length, and then add half of this, so 5.5 centimeters plus this length, and that's going to be the length of the zipper that you're going to need. Ideally, I guess since it's on the side, you should use an invisible zipper. I don't have one on hand, so I'm going to use a regular zipper, but I assume that the majority of you, if you're making this, would use an invisible zipper. So that's the front leg. The back leg is pretty similar. You do see that the width of the pant leg is wider on the back. You have your, again, darts in the back, and then you have your crotch here, HM, middle back. So you draw that out. Once you finish drawing out your pattern, I really suggest that for making these, for actually drawing this part and even the waistband, you're using your hip measurement, right? Because remember, anything that's from the hip, the waist and below is using the hip measurement. But when you're making pants, you should also measure your crotch length. So you go from the front to the back and measure the total crotch length. And when your pattern's finished on paper, you're going to measure from here to here. Take that measurement and then do the same thing for the back measurement. Add the two up and see if they match your crotch measurement. If there's too much of a difference, you're going to have to make an adjustment to your crotch length on the pattern. And also, if your legs are too long or too short, they recommend that you cut here at the where the cross is. So you're going to cut off here and then either lengthen or fold up and shorten. So that's where you would shorten or lengthen the legs. The crotch is another type of adjustment. I think that in my video 2 or 3, I provide the resources I use, and I have the Lutterloh Academy training kit, and I believe in there she does show us how to adjust the crotch. I didn't check. I don't need to. It fits my crotch length. And if you don't want to buy that, I'm sure that on YouTube, if you type how to adjust a crotch length on pants, you'll find that. So that's these two patterns. That's this pattern. And then don't forget to add the seam allowance. And what I use to add the seam allowance is this tool that I found, that I bought actually, that after following a course on Craftsy, like a whole bunch of different seam gauges. So you can just go through and add that. But I bought it because I'm using it because I have it. But I found out later on that a standard measuring tape like this is actually 5/8 of an inch. So you don't need to buy this tool. You just put this along your pattern and then trace. You would trace your seam allowance if you're using a 5/8 of an inch or 2.5 centimeters, depending on where you live. So I'm going to stop filming, grab my pattern, make it, and I'll be back with the construction. Okay, so here I've cut out all my 4 pieces of patterns for the legs. And what I've done is I've pinned the darts on all 4 pieces here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go sew the darts, press them towards the side. And then the next step at the same time is that I'm going to come and overlock all my seams for the crotch and the legs, not the top. I did look on the internet to see if it was okay to serge before actually sewing. And they said it depends on what you're doing. When you do that, sometimes you can lose some of the details in your notches or whatever. Since this is a very standard pair of pants, I'm going to do it. And I also plan on pressing my seams open because I don't want to serge them closed, because I want to give myself the possibility of either making my pants bigger or smaller if ever I change size. I wouldn't necessarily do my serge a knit fabric because I think serging ahead of time might distort the fabric because there is movement in a knit fabric, but I'm doing it on this pair of pants. So I'm going to go do all of that and come back and we'll do the next step. Also, if ever you're interested in seeing me actually sew at the sewing machine, just leave me a comment and I'll see if somehow I can integrate that into my videos. So I will be back shortly. Okay, so I did all my darts and I've pressed them towards the side. I also did all my overlock around the whole pant legs. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my 2 crotches. So this is my back crotch. I've put the 2 pieces together, attach them. So I'm going to come sew along the crotch here. And the same thing for the front legs here. So I'm putting the 2 front legs together and sewing the front crotch together. So I will go do that. Sew all along here, press them open, and I'll be back. Okay, so now we've sewn in the crotch, and what I had planned on doing as the next step was to take the side seam where there's the zipper and then lay them flat and then sew the zipper in place. But then as I was serging and I was tucking in my serger threads, I got thinking about that, and the fact that when you look at the pattern, the zipper actually finishes in the waistband, I said, I don't think that works because I can't sew part of the zipper and then sew the final piece when I attach the waistband, which means that the waistband has to be already attached when I sew the zipper in. Okay, so that's fine. But then if I sew in the waistband and for some reason my pants don't fit, I need to adjust the darts, then I have to unzip the whole waistband and then adjust the darts. So the next step I'm going to do, which is not what I had planned, but this is what we're going to do, is I'm going to take my pair of pants. So you see I've sewn the crotch here. I'm going to baste stitch the entire pair of pants, the outside legs and the inside legs, except for the area here where I would put normally the zipper. I'm going to baste it really on the stitching line. I'm going to try them on and see if I have to make adjustments to the darts. And then if everything's okay, then I will cut out the waistband. We'll put interfacing on half of it and attach it to the pair of pants. So that is the next step. And if I'm doing this wrong and somebody's watching this and knows how to do it properly, please put it in the comments so that we all learn. So I will be back shortly after having basted and tried on the pants. Okay, so I'm really glad that I basted those pants and I tried them on because they really didn't fit me. I was missing about 3-4 inches or about 10 centimeters on the side. That's impossible to close. So what I did was I took out all the darts on the top, and then I also reduced my side seams and my inner seams to as small as possible. So I sewed as close as possible to my serger stitch line here without actually going on the stitch line. So I've got a minimum amount of side seams. And then I tried those on, and then I was able to put darts in the back again. So what really happened was that it was my stomach that didn't have enough fabric, so I could have just taken out the front darts and then sewed the side seams with a smaller margin. And basically that's why we have darts on those patterns, is to adjust based on the way we were made. And if with hindsight, if I look at this pattern here, you see that it's really a high-waisted pattern, and that this is your belly here. So I should, well, the next time around, I'm going to, the hips were okay. I mean, I would have liked a bit more ease, so I did add more ease, but I'll measure the hips, the waist, and also then the belly part in the front, because I know that's where I have to make an adjustment for my future pants. And so that's pretty much it, but I'm really happy that I did that exercise before sewing on the waistband. And I did end up sewing all my pant seams, the leg seams here. I told you that before basting that I would put on the waistband first and then we'd do the zip. But continuing to think things through, I do have to sew my leg seams. And now I'm going to go cut out my waistband based on the measurements here. I'll go also cut out the interfacing, iron that on, and we'll be back to attach the waistband and then figure out how to do the zip. So I will be back. Okay, so if we look at our pattern here, I'll just zoom in here. We're talking about the waistband here, and we're going to cut out a rectangle. Here it says approximately 83 centimeters. I measured mine. It's going to be 102 centimeters by 11 centimeters. And you have the interfacing. What's important is not to forget to put the seam allowance on your waistband. So here's my, if I zoom out here a bit here, here's my long rectangle where I have my waistband. I've put half of it on interfacing, and I decided to overlock the entire waistband. So I have a big rectangle that's entirely overlocked, and I am placing it right sides together with the non-interfacing side here. And the reason why is I started off putting the interfacing side here, but if you look at the pattern, the zipper is on the non-interfaced side. So in that case, this has to be touching the main pair of pants. So I've pinned it all along here. But like on the other side, the back side, I did decide, where's my back? Here I have my back pleats. So I did decide to fold them towards the back middle here, towards this. And I said initially I'd fold them this way, but I think it's more logical to fold them towards the back. So both my pleats are facing the back. So I'm going to go sew along my seam allowance, and then I'm going to cut the seam allowance, and we'll be back to put on the zipper. Okay, so we're going to try to figure this out together. So what I have here is this is the side where I put in my zipper. And I really folded over a very small amount of seam allowance. Normally, if you've got your pattern the right size, you're going to do your 5/8 seam allowance, but I've gone the minimum and I've ironed it along here on both sides. Okay, and I've got a bit of a discrepancy. And then the other thing I've done is I've gone and I've ironed the rest of the top part of my waistband, the 5/8 here, because at the end we're going to fold this over and then hand stitch it here. So we're going to want this already folded in. So I've ironed that along. That's the first step. Now what we want is, this is my zipper. It's the wrong color, but I said, so if I have my zipper here, when I fold this over, it's on the wrong side, but just to give you a visual, this is my seam line. When I fold this over, it's going to be the halfway mark. I want my zipper to end up there, right? So I have to, if I'm folding this, I'm going to place it this way. I'm going to sew it along that way and then do the same thing on the other, and then I'll just make sure I close this up after if it's too long. Because this is a traditional zipper, I'm going to sew it and it's going to be shown. You'll see the stitch line here. So that's what I'll have for this pair of pants. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So I'll be back, I'll do that, and we'll see what this looks like. Okay, so I managed to sew in my zipper despite the very small seam allowance. Don't hold me accountable for this, but this is not my best sewing job for a zipper, but it does work. You can open and close it. So the next step is to fold this over here where we have the interfacing. Fold this in, and we're going to come and sew. Well, I'm going to sew by hand here along the stitch line. So my waistband will be sewn by hand, and at the same time I'll be fixing this in place by hand. And then I'm going to come down to the pant legs here, bottom, and I'm going to turn this in the proper seam allowance and also finish that by hand. So I've got a bunch of hand sewing, and I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so I finished sewing the front band, the waistband here around, all around. Looks like this. I've also sewn my hem here by hand. So that's done. Now I'm going to throw on these pants. I'll let you know right away. I don't have a top that actually goes with these pants, so I'm probably going to put on just a white blouse or a white top so you see what the pants look like. So I will go do that, and I'll be right back. So that's the finished garment. I think it's a decent pair of pants. It's not necessarily my style, but I think I'll wear it this summer if I can find a top that goes with it. I'm happy that I was able to adjust my pattern even though I had to go to the extreme limits of my seam allowances. What is my takeaway from my first experience in making a pair of pants? The first one is to really look at the pattern, the drawing on the pattern. So if you look at this one really closely, she's wearing a crop top and the pants go all the way up to the top of the crop top. That should have given me an indication that the waist would be really high on these pants. So it's not as if it wasn't called out. I didn't take note of it. So I'll make sure that I'll check my patterns so the next time to know what I'm expecting. The other thing is that my hips were okay, the hip measurements. I could have had a bit more ease, but in terms of my belly, if you want, I have to make sure that I calculate that amount of fabric and make sure I have enough to cover that. The back is fine. And also the crotch. So the crotch was the exact same length as my crotch measurement. And I think I could have added just a bit more ease for my crotches. So that's what I take away from the first experience with the Lutterloh system for pants. And the next project I'm going to work on is the pants number 56. It's a pair of dress pants here. So I'll be working on that in my next video. It's going to be a black pair of pants. And this one has front pleats. It actually has pockets, and it has the front fly as well. So it's a bit more complicated, and you'll learn with me as I go along. So if you enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you want to leave comments, please do so. Let me know if you want me to put more details in my videos, such as seeing me sew at the machine, or if there are techniques that I'm not going into enough detail with you. Let me know. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, please go subscribe to my channel. So have a great day, and we'll see each other the next time.